TiE Singapore, and welcome once again to our Go Digital series, where today we'll be talking about digital transformation, keeping up with the times. The speaker for the evening is Gary Lim, Regional Head of Education, Google Cloud, Southeast Asia. As the Head of Education for Google Cloud in Southeast Asia, Gary is responsible for helping to transform the government and education agenda in this digital transformation of industries through successful executions of a broad set of initiatives within Singapore and the ASEAN region. He engages with educators, government elites, and policy leaders as their trusted advisor to ensure all stakeholders are provided with the latest in education technology to enhance learning environments and ensure a steady pool of future-ready individuals. Gary also sits on various advisory boards where he contributes his time and insights with the primary focus on skill development in the infocom sector. Gary has previously held key appointments in other private sector companies like Microsoft, as well as the public sector. Gary is also currently serving as a strategic advisor of INCLUS, a non-for-profit organization aimed at helping to create an inclusive society for people with disabilities. Gary graduated from NUS with a master's degree in computing. Folks, this program is in collaboration with YBI, supported by google.org, where we are making an effort to help the entrepreneurs and SMEs struggling due to the COVID crisis. This program is under the Emerge umbrella, and thank you, Gary, for being one of our speakers in this initiative. Over to you.
Thanks for the warm welcome, and I really want to say a very good evening to everyone that's joining us today. So I'm Gary, and I lead the education team at Google Cloud, covering the Southeast Asia markets. I think for us, it has been both an exciting, but also an unusual time for us in technology, in education, and also in business, as well as all the other industries affected by the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. But it has also given us that little nudge that we need to look beyond normalcy and to also push boundaries where digital technology can be used to enable what I would say a dichotomy of the new status quo. In today's session, I will be sharing with you about a little bit about what Google Cloud is, especially for those who are new. And I will also share the impact that COVID-19 has had in the business and education space. Moving along, I will also share some trends in what I see for upskilling individuals and adult learners, and also some Google programs that we have catered, especially for the small and mid-sized businesses. I will also share some transformational stories that touches the heart of everyone. The first thing I wanted to do is really share about Google Cloud's mission. It is really about accelerating every organization's ability to transform through data-powered innovation with the best infrastructure, platform, industry solutions, expertise for digital transformation. In this broad mission that we have, I've highlighted 3 words: transform through data. In the next 5 seconds, I wanted to let you rank the organization that you are working in at its current state, about how your organization handles data today, with 1 being totally siloed and 10 being totally integrated, where you are able to interface and connect to any systems, thereby breaking down administrative overheads. Just take 5 seconds and do this mental exercise. I believe many of you would have assessed yourself and your organizations to be in the 3 to 5 range. And just keep this at the back of your mind. And I hope that as I progress through this presentation, you will also be able to get nuggets of information which you can use to implement in your organizations to bring that number a few notches closer to 10. After all, COVID-19 has really been the imperative force that has been driving us to recharge our mindsets and put in place systems to help us get on the rebound. Now, the spread of COVID-19 has dramatically altered businesses and lifestyles. It has been a testing time for businesses, learners, and also educators. Specifically for learners, 32% of them felt academically less prepared as they were very used to going for face-to-face lessons. In fact, prospective students have also been significantly affected by the crisis. Over the past few months, a dramatic impact on high school students who were looking to enroll in the next few months. And all these go up for less affluent student populations. The 75% of learners also felt emotionally less prepared to handle the challenges of each day, each assignment, and each online class that he or she had to attend. And 30% felt less able to afford because there was a need for home internet connectivity, and not everyone had a personal learning device. The leaders of businesses and institutions are also concerned and worried about how they are able to recover from the pandemic crisis. At Google, we believe that the web shouldn't just be a place for brands with prime time budgets, but it should be a place for all businesses. Businesses that rely on Google to help them succeed and grow. From this perspective, we have launched multiple programs that enable our businesses to grow and to expand despite the COVID-19 pandemic. We provide digital education, and I'll share more about the programs later, but we provide digital education on how you can get your businesses online. We also have a growth engine where you can actually make use of in order to grow your businesses faster and quicker. We also help businesses by establishing quality online presence, such as Google My Business and also YouTube Director. In order to amplify the reach of your business, we have also AdWords Express and home services as well. But we also believe that delivering results is what matters most. And through functions such as the Google Analytics machine learning, we are able to share with you insights on how your business is progressing and what are the steps that you need in order to enhance the business objectives that you have. In fact, every month, Google brings more visits to businesses and creates meaningful connections between businesses and their customers, such as calls, online reservations, and also visits to their stalls. Running a business requires a whole lot of ingenuity and perseverance. It is the same qualities that are helping local businesses adapt and even thrive in today's new normal. And to adjust, business owners are increasingly turning to digital tools. And according to a report by the Connected Commerce Council, nearly 1 in 3 small business owners said that without digital tools, they would have had to close all parts of their business. To this extent, we have actually rolled out new features to actually help businesses get the support they need, adapt their operations, and quickly update their customers about the latest changes. We want to let people know how they can actually help. And we have seen firsthand in Google Search and Maps the impact of COVID-19 on small businesses and how they connect with their customers. People around the world are looking for ways to continue supporting corner bookstores, local watering holes, beloved dance studios, and other businesses that gives the neighborhood a character, even if it's from a distance. And to help local businesses share how their communities can support them during COVID-19, we We have also begun allowing merchants in 6 countries to add support links for donations and gift cards to their business profiles on Google. In fact, a month ago, we've started rolling out the support links to merchants in an additional 18 countries, such as Italy, Spain, and Japan. We've also partnered with PayPal and GoFundMe for donations. For gift cards, merchants can directly link to the relevant pages on their website or to their gift card offerings with one of the eligible partners. People around the world are also looking for help with global search interest in how you can help small businesses, reaching an all-time high in March 2020, increasing more than 700% since February 2020. To help connect them with nearby businesses in need, we have made it possible for people to look up their favorite local businesses by name to see if they've added donation cards or gift card links to their business profile. And in the coming weeks, people will also be able to use search and maps to find all nearby businesses they are asking for support. In order to transit to online services with ease, merchants who normally provided in-person services are now pivoting to connect with their customers virtually. From yoga studios offering online classes to salons hosting virtual hairstyling classes, we are making it easier for our customers to discover online classes and also to book virtual appointments with some of these new features. Number one, get discovered. Merchants who are verified on Google My Business will soon be able to add attributes like online classes, online appointments, or online estimates to their business profiles to let people know about how they are operating. Today, merchants can add one or more of these attributes using Google My Business, and in the next couple of weeks, it'll be visible in the merchant's business profile in search and maps. Number two, online service bookings directly on Google. We've expanded Reserve with Google to help merchants offer easy appointment bookings for online services so that customers can find available times, book a slot, and also add it to their Google Calendar, all directly from a merchant's business profile. And millions of people have already booked in-person appointments with salons, restaurants, and other businesses, thanks to the integration from over 100 Reserve with Google customers. We're also expanding this to include bookings for online services, starting with partners like Wellness Living, St. Regis, and these merchants are working with our partners to offer online bookings directly and share the details with our customers on how to pay or join using their preferred video conferencing platform. Another program that we have launched is Grow with Google. And the aim of this program is really to deliver economic opportunity for everyone by providing free training, tools, and in-person support to help people grow their skills, career, and business. The Grow with Google program actually brings together the best of Google programs and tools to everyone, from IT support training programs to new functionality right in Google search, and offers them online for free. Small businesses, it will help them find new customers online. For job seekers and students, it will help boost your resumes with new certifications. And for educators, it will teach you the digital basics of video-based curriculum. Together with the Singapore government, we have also expanded the Grow with Google program into a Skills Ignition SG initiative. Through this initiative, we aim to build in-demand skills for the digital future through vocational and on-the-job training. We have also concluded our first round of applications and are looking forward to partner with Singapore citizens and PRs to equip themselves with the skills they need to be job ready in both digital marketing and cloud technology. We've spoken at length about jobs in the technology sector, but what about the people who are looking for jobs outside of technology? At Google, we believe that economic opportunity is all about finding jobs. And Google Search has always been a place people turn to for help in their job hunt. So we wanted to make job search as easy as any other Google searches that you do daily. If I may, you could pull out your mobile device and open a browser on any device that you are using now and go to the Google search page. Type in the words jobs near me and click on the search button. You'll notice that the Google search has been enhanced to provide you with a listing of jobs which are near your location. And today, Google search has been a place where people turn to for help in their job hunt, and we've connected over 100 million people to job listings around the world. We are also working to build solutions for communities with unique needs. There are essentially two approaches to innovation, one of which is technology-led, where the considerations about how digital technologies can add value to the businesses, to education, and to the government. And the other is business-led, about how do we reimagine our businesses as a continuum of ecosystem for all individuals. This is really where we want to land ourselves with SMEs and businesses who are depending on Google to extend the reach of customers and also to help businesses continue just thriving in this post-COVID era. And it isn't about getting it right. It's about putting in place the processes that are sensitive to the context and to your business. It's about dynamically reshaping your business delivery model to fit the moment. And it's about getting it right every day. I wanted to end my presentation here and also leave a time to really gather your thoughts and also move into the Q&A section. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. Let me, Gary, folks, everyone, please send in your questions in the Q&A or the chat mode. And while that takes place, Gary, I have a few questions.
Sure.
You spoke about the trends. What are some of the trends in the government and private sector that you see are taking place due to the COVID-19 pandemic?
So I think across the region, right, but I'll speak more towards Singapore, but across the region, you've noticed that governments have really stepped up the motion on, skills upgrading and skills renewal. And I think in Singapore specifically, we are super lucky to have a government that have invested a really big sum of money to help individuals like you and I to go for courses, to reskill ourselves, and with the focus on helping those who are unemployed at this moment. So across the region, I see that governments are all heading towards the direction of making sure that citizens are skilled, not only for the current moment, but also skills that will be able to last them and drive employability in the longer term as well. So Singapore, again, I'd say it's really a fortunate country where we are able to have so much government support in terms of skills upgrading. And today, actually, you can take a course, and it's almost free of charge with your Skills Future credit. I think it's really an amazing program that the government has actually rolled out.
Indeed. Now, when it comes to skills upgrading and it comes to learning, the focus has previously been on full-time students, but obviously there's an increasing need to focus on adult and professional learners, given the rapid pace of digital transformation that is happening. Shifting to from the government to Google here, what are some of the Google programs that are available to address these training needs in adult learning cohort, like you said about skills upgradation?
So, I mean, maybe let me just also set a bit of background. In the past, education was very structured, right? So you go to primary school, secondary school, you go to a JC or a poly, university, and you graduate from there, right? I think that is rapidly changing. The foundational skills are still being taught in primary and secondary schools, but you just have to reimagine it a bit. As you go past the transformation of education from primary school to secondary school to JC, poly, it's now performing a loop back because wherever you have graduated from, whether it's a JC, whether it's a poly, whether it's a university, all institutions today are looking at how the alumni can actually loop back into the institutions for adult training courses to help them to continuously be upgraded in terms of skills and also the ability to stay employed. Maybe I will share a personal story here, right? Not many people know, but I used to be a not so good student when I was in primary school. And my parents actually had the opportunity, the unique opportunity to have many, many more meet the parent session compared to my classmate. Not for positive reasons, of course. And the reason why I bring this up is because with the technology that's in place today and the focus really being on lifelong skills and upgrade, we really have to be able to look at how are we engaging our students and how are we using some of the data and some of the analytics that we can draw from the various platforms that schools, businesses, or institutions actually use. And I reflect back on my experience. I was a really bad student in mathematics. If at that time, data, analytics, artificial intelligence was around or was matured, I think my teachers would have been able to find out, okay, I think Gary is probably really needs a lot more help in mathematics, and some of the remedial actions could have been taken. But fast forward today, I think not only for full-time students, but even for adult learners, there's a massive effort that's ongoing by the government and the big tech companies to look at how are we moving from traditional learning to something that's more predictive and more adaptive. An example would be if Gary has completed presentation skills 101, how would I be able, as a training institution, for example, how would I be able to smartly recommend that Gary goes on to take presentation skills level 200 or level 300, rather than going to various websites independently? Wouldn't a system that would be able to really predict the needs and to understand the skills gap that an individual has and smartly recommend a course that he or she should take, whether is it for promotion, whether is it for re-employment, or whether is it, to find another job? I think these are areas where I think the technology today is in place, but it also involves the people and the processes that need to come together to make this change.
Gary, I'm so glad that the government is taking so many initiatives and organizations like yours, because you rightly said predictive and adaptive learning has much more impact rather than the traditional aspects. So increasing to that really is the way forward. With that, I would like to pick up Crystal Hand's question. Every business is talking about digitalization, digital transformation. What's your definition of digitalization and digital transformation with examples? Like, how do you differentiate, perhaps, Crystal, if what you mean is the differentiation between digitalization and digital transformation, perhaps? Gary, with some examples, if you could.
Sure. Let me also address this question later on with a specific example, right? I think digital transformation to me is not so much about the technology, but as I just also happen to mention that it is really about the people and the processes. The people and the processes have to be in place have to be willing and ready to accept some of these changes. And then we look at the technology that's able to support it. So in my view, let's use an example of online shopping, for example. Now, in the past, um, if I say this, it's going to give my age away. But in the past, when we look at the newspaper on the weekend, right, there's always there's the cutouts, right, NTUC coupons and vouchers, and I remember my parents used to cut out and they could go to get the offer price. But today, online shopping has become so much more different, but it also increases the benchmark that businesses have to come to terms with. Today, if I'm if I'm searching for a home office table or maybe a PC, all I need to do is actually I just need to search on Google, and it will give me all the varieties of where I can actually purchase them. And this has dramatically helped businesses to expand, but at the same time, it has also increased the competition. Because today I can actually order something that's perhaps half the price from another country, and it gets shipped to me within 2 to 3 days. So digital transformation to me is really about looking at not only the technology, in fact, the technology should be placed at the last, but looking at how you will refine your processes, your business processes, and also a big part of that is also refining the mindsets of people to be able to accept the change that the company has to take in order to stay relevant and to stay competitive. I wanted to point out one very recent example, and this has to do with the Nanyang Technological University in Singapore. Last year in August is the period where they usually have orientation, freshman orientation, where 6,000 of the freshmen will descend on the NTU campus, and they will have fun activities, get to know each other, get to know the campus, and really immerse themselves in university life. But obviously in August, it was at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, and we were still in the lockdown mode. We actually worked with NTU to understand how we could actually collaborate with NTU to see how we could make that transition for students who could be fresh out of the army, fresh out of junior college, that are transiting to university life for their first time. How would we be able to use some of the digital technologies to help them assimilate smoothly to university life without having the face-to-face freshman orientations as what we used to do in the previous years. And we built something from scratch, which was a virtual onboarding assistant. The unique thing here, I want to point out, it's not so much the technology. As I said, the technology will always be able to solve the use cases that you have. The amazing thing here that NTU did was they got their senior students to come and train the virtual assistant, because the seniors will actually know the type of questions that were going through their minds when they were matriculating into NTU perhaps 1 or 2 years earlier. And it was an amazing exercise because it really emphasizes the fact that the organization has to be willing to relook at the processes. The organization will have to be willing to gather the collective wisdom of various people put in the project team, and then for the technology to come in place to wrap everything around. I saw the students in action. They were final year students in NTU. I saw the questions that they were using to train the virtual assistant, and it really reminded me of my own matriculation into NUS a couple of years ago, well, many years ago actually. But um, that's really an example of how I see digital transformation being really about the people, the processes, and lastly about the technology that's coming together to put it in one beautiful simplified package.
You rightly said, Gary, that to change with the times and to be relevant, it's not only the technology but the people and the processes that need to change, and the mindset that needs to be changed as well. I would like to remind our attendees that, folks, you could also raise your hands and verbally ask Gary questions if you don't want to write it down. Gary, we have a question from Ramki, and
Yeah,
he's asking if you could share certain trends which you think would be in the digital transformation phase in the coming years.
yeah. So I think for folks on the call on this webinar today, you would have heard of artificial intelligence way back 10, 20 years ago, right? And I think um, at that time, right, artificial intelligence was really an area or field that was reserved for really, really deep academic professors to understand the modeling and to be able to implement an artificial system. How I see the trends of digital transformation happening in the next few years is really aligned to our Google Cloud's mission about how are we using the data that we have, not Google has, but the data that every individual collects. And I'll give you an example. If you are working in a financial institution, many, while there are many systems in place, that the data flow is still very much limited to the data that each person collects. In education, every lecturer maintains his or her own Excel spreadsheet or Google Sheet. Imagine if we were able to collate all this data together in a unified system. Imagine what we could do in terms of predictions, what we could do in terms of forecasting, student intake, business growth, customer engagement. And I think the next few years will really redefine how we use data and how we create predictive models to help businesses, education, and government alike.
Thanks for that, Gary. I'm mindful of the time. I would end with one last question of how Google is helping SMEs to transform the skills of the employees, which is again a very relevant part of digital transformation to stay relevant in the times.
So in Google, as I've shared, we actually have this Grow with Google program where it offers free tools, free training for any individuals. And this is something that is very close to our hearts because for any business or for any individual to succeed, we feel that access and equitable access to tools, technology, and also to training should be made widely available and widely adaptive in terms of learning, right? One of the differences that we have actually put in place is that we create learning pathways for every individual. So today, if you go to the Google Cloud Learning website, we will be able, you will be able to input what is your end goal, and we will actually map out a learning pathway for you. So in that sense, depending on what your end goal is, it could be just technology appreciation, it could be putting in the skills that you require for a new job role that you are looking at. And all these training can actually be amalgamated and presented to you in a one-stop fashion. So this is something that we are helping not only businesses or SMEs, but I think we are also helping individuals like you and me to be able to chart a learning pathway that's adaptive to our needs and our desires in terms of where our next steps are going to be. Um, the other program that we actually have is really about uh, free training that's provided on Google Cloud. And it's not only about for technologies, right? It's also about even productivity and collaboration, where individuals can learn about how to collaborate effectively together using tools and functions that we provide, all the way down to how do you architect a cloud infrastructure? How do you modernize your applications? How do you modernize your infrastructure as well? So we do understand that there's going to be a broad range of needs, training need from every individual, and we have created different buckets of training that's available for free on our Google Cloud website. Um, And it's not all about technology. We have training that's geared towards even digital marketing, consumer patterns and things, and more on the business side of things as well. So do take a look at the Google Cloud website, and start from there to really chart the next lap in your career or in your education.
No, we are glad that the best funded startup, like Google is famously called, is all keen to help the crowd and the employees of every company to change not only in the way they deal with processes and technology, but also the mindset. So with that, Gary, I would like to thank you for this, crisp information session on how do you how do you be relevant with the times. Everyone will be launching a short poll, and it will be grateful if you could fill that poll for us. Gary, I would like to thank you once again for this session with us. We would be sharing the YouTube the link of this recording with everyone to view, and also to share ahead with your fellow men whom you think would, find this relevant and important in their times. Uh, our next session would be on the 18th of March at 5 p.m. It would be a business series, Mastering the Talent Agenda, People Make or Break Business Success, by Lian Poon, Chief of Staff, APAC GPOP Staffing at Google. So please stay tuned and join us back on the 18th of March. Thank you once again, Gary.
Thanks for having me, and I wanted to wish everyone a pleasant evening and a great rest of the week. Thank you.
Thank you.